Would you tell us a little bit about Spencer Heath and his impact upon your way of thinking?
Sure. Well, Spencer Heath is a late 19th, early 20th century philosopher who followed in the footsteps of the Henry George school, which said that we really don't want any kind of aggressive systems, but we need a night watchman government. And how are we going to pay for the night watchman government? It'll be very limited in powers, but it'll have a tax on land. And why a tax on land? Well, because land should all be held in common, according to the Henry George way of thinking. And I don't particularly subscribe to that. I also don't think that they went far enough. Like everybody else, like a great many people say, some people don't go too far, and Jim does. Jim goes way too far. So I think that instead of a night watchman government, we really need to be looking at zero government. And Spencer Heath's moral philosophy is more in line with it. He is regarded as the progenitor of Heathian anarchism. It's named after him. His grandson, Spencer Heath McCallum, is actually a good friend of mine. I've traveled to a number of places in order to visit with him. And I worked with him and Michael Van Nauten on a project in Somalia. That is to say, he didn't come to Somalia with us, but his philosophy came with us. And it's interesting that some of the things that he's been interested in, Spencer Heath McCallum, such as E.C. Regal's writings on individual issuance of currency, are now very, very common, very widely accepted. The idea of governments issuing currency, E.C. Regal's like, no, that's not any good. That's a problem because governments don't produce anything. They just take. And free enterprisers produce things. So if a free enterpriser says, I'm issuing 100 coupons, each one of them is good for a 5-pound steak, then you know that there will be, so many coupons, so many 5-pound steaks. Design concepts around the philosophy of what works and what doesn't. And one of his ideas was that rather than having a governmental enterprise own land, you would have a private enterprise that owns a piece of land. Let's say it's 1,000 acres. And that enterprise would then, instead of subdividing the property and saying, okay, well, we have 1,000 acres and 100 acres will be the parks and the swimming pools and whatever other common things the neighborhood needs, and then we'll have 900 acres turned into single-family homes, each of which will be, let's say, 1 acre. So then you have 900 home sites. And in most real estate development projects, those home sites would be subdivided, and the individuals who buy the home sites and then build a house on them would have ownership of that particular acre. In the Heathian approach, all of that land is continued to be held by the large organization. And in our case, I think the Resilient Ways Foundation would be the organization that owns the land. And then the individual homeowners pay a rent of some sort. Whether that rent is expressed as an annual fee or a monthly fee, or whether that rent is every 99 years you have to pay a certain amount, and then that money is held in trust and managed appropriately. Whatever systems are worked out, it's not a subdivision where then you have individual ownership of your 1 acre. And the advantage of that is that a lot of the interactions with government work better if you're bigger. I don't know how to put it any more gently than that. The government will take advantage of anybody that they can overpower. And if they don't feel like they're likely to overpower you, then they tend to treat you with some respect. Bigger organizations, individuals with more money, seem to get a better deal. And that impression, I think, is valid in the sense of our practical experience. As well, if you're if you're the tenant who has 99 years of the use of this land, it's very much like you own the land. There are people in Holland who have recently renewed 999-year leases. So it is not an unknown thing. And I think there's also at least one of these in the city of London where someone has leased a piece of land for that long a period of time. So it can be a very long-term, stable, resilient way of doing things. And I think Spencer Heath's argument is that the Henry George people didn't go far enough. And my hope is that he leads us to some suggestions about how to go exactly far enough. And maybe, left to my own devices, I will go too far.
Resilient Ways Foundation. Imagine a free world